So for today's lesson, we're going to be talking about the Mayflower Compact with the Pilgrims. The Pilgrims, you probably remember learning about this when you were really young. The Pilgrims came over on the Mayflower, and there's a lot of stuff that's associated with the Pilgrims that we don't necessarily teach anymore. It's not because the stuff's not true or that it didn't occur. It's that just that it's very, very, um, aesthetic stuff, such as the way they dressed and stuff like that. That's not really important. What's important is the people that they were and the type of government they attempted to set up. Okay, so obviously the first founding was in Jamestown, and then you have the Pilgrims and Puritans that are going to be landing in the area of about the same time. The Pilgrims are going to land in 1620 in current day Massachusetts. They were planning to try to go to Virginia. They got blown off course. Okay, so whenever they land, before they actually make it to shore, they decide to set up a government. They realize that it's very important to set up a form of government in order to govern their community. Now, the Pilgrims are a group of religious separatists that are on a ship with guys that are, part of a company, okay, or funded by a company to come to the New World and make money. So everybody on the ship was not a pilgrim. Okay, the Pilgrims were essentially hitching a ride. So the Pilgrims themselves, okay, sit down with these guys that are on this ship, and they all come to an agreement. And they come to an agreement to sign what we call the Mayflower Compact. Okay, this is where they land in the Plymouth colony. This is current day Massachusetts. The Mayflower Compact was a very short, very to the point document. Okay, it was a set of agreed upon rules that governed the colony. So this is pretty much the first document in American democratic history because the document sets up a form of democratic government. They mention things like just and equal laws for the general good of the colony. Okay, and additional laws were actually implemented by a majority vote of the men in the colony. Sorry, females, again, you're not allowed to vote yet. Okay, so if we take a look at the actual wording, what the highlighted text here is what is really important from the Mayflower Compact. Covenant and combine ourselves together in a civil body politic, which means a government of the people, for our better ordering and preservation and the furtherance of the ends aforesaid, which they're talking about up here. Okay, and by virtue thereof to enact, constitute, and frame such just and equal laws, which I just mentioned, ordinances, acts, and constitutions, which is the same as laws, any kind of stuff to put in place, and offices from time to time, as shall be thought most meet and convenient for the general good of the colony. Okay, we're going to pass laws that are going to be best for the colony, unto which we promise all due submission and obedience. So essentially, the people that are writing this are saying that they practice or they are going to submit themselves to this government. So it is a form of limited government, and it's the first democratic form of government that we know that was present in the colonies at the time, that was limited. Remember, the Pilgrims and the Puritans are coming from societies where they have monarchs, and those monarchs aren't necessarily super limited in their powers. So it was very important to them to not have a strong figurehead in place, but rather to be able to have a government where people can make decisions that's best for the people instead of one person making that decision for them. Okay. It's a famous painting of the Mayflower Compact. This is painted in the 1800s. So the Mayflower Compact is signed in 1620. The painting is actually not painted until the 1800s, so there's a big time gap there. And we're going to talk about the significance of that time gap, okay? But notice that you have, these guys that are all in the hull of this ship that are sitting down and trying to figure this out. Now, I can go ahead and tell you, this ain't what it looked like, okay? They weren't this well put together. They've been on a ship for 6 weeks, so they didn't look this good. But there are women and children on board too. They aren't necessarily involved in this, but the men are. So it's a pretty important time in American history, and that's why we're going to be talking about it. All right, we're going to jump into this in the class. Thanks for watching, guys.